Have you been listening to this show for a while? Do you like this show? Do you want to see it continue? There's one way you can do that. You can actually visit our Patreon page and donate some money to make sure the show continues. That's the only way we fund the show, the only way we make it happen. Go to patreon.com/wehaveconcerns, find out bonus stuff you can get for supporting us, and make sure the show keeps on trucking.
It's great, but I travel a lot, and I would love to bring a Mario with me. I'd love to do that. This is We Have Concerns. Hi, Jeff Canada.
Hi, Anthony Carboni.
Hello, concerned citizens.
We have talked a lot about autopilot, your internal autopilot, because I feel like everybody
the default state, the default system.
That's right. Everybody has
in your brain.
Everybody can relate to that moment where you're driving and you arrive at a place and you're like, oh my God, I don't even remember driving here.
Apologies, it just occurred to default network.
Yeah, it's actually called the DMN, the default mode network.
Yeah, there it is.
The official name of it. But yeah, everybody's had that experience of doing a thing and not thinking about the thing and then realizing you just finished the thing. And
waking up with blood on your hands.
Yeah.
And a knife is like on the ground.
You're just so used to it, you can just do it in autopilot.
Yeah, it's just like, I didn't even know that I killed this person.
Right.
Again, I didn't even know that I have killed again.
Second nature to me.
Second nature. Human nature. The most human nature, I would argue.
Right.
Is the act of killing.
That is what you did argue.
Yeah.
Over and over. No one believed it.
No one believed it, and I am recording this from a penitentiary. A Supermax penitentiary where I will be spending the rest of my life. Because justice is swift and sure, and I guess I deserve it. But at the same time, who's the real animal in a cage?
The DMN defense.
Maybe it's you.
DMN defense doesn't work, it turns out.
It doesn't work.
Anyway, so yes, DMN, default mode network, is the set of brain structures. This was discovered only in the 90s. This is what defined by scientists only in the 90s. So
only 90s scientists will remember this.
Yeah, exactly. They had flannel shirts tied around their waist. They had boots on. They were listening to Nirvana, and they went DMN.
DMN.
Yeah.
Also, how good is a Goofy movie? It's like better than I thought it was going to be. That's what scientists were like in the 90s.
And as much as they are proud of the DMN thing, all of them wish they had just bought some Apple stock.
Really? Or Marvel, you know?
For that matter, yeah, right?
You know, Apple or Marvel. That's like
predicted.
I thought about it.
The Phantom movie? Nobody's going to watch Marvel movies. Come on.
Superhero films are over.
So this is the set of structures that define what happens when you go into autopilot, where you can do something without consciously thinking about it. And they don't think that this is unique to humans. And that's why they don't think it has anything to do with our self-consciousness, because they think that...
This is fascinating to me. I haven't heard this because I thought it was something where I don't know why I assume this. I thought if an animal is hunting, then the animal is hunting. If an animal is building a nest, then it's building a nest, and it's totally focused on building the nest.
Well, according to this article that was sent to us by, guess who? Catherine Tuck, the mighty eagle. Always with the great stories, Catherine. Thank you so much. If you want to be like her and submit stories to us, you can do it via our email, which is wehaveconcernshow@gmail.com, or on the Facebook group, or on the subreddit.
All those links are down below, or down below. Who knows how the app is laid out? Who knows? Maybe you're listening in a car. You can't even see it. There's a description of this episode somewhere. Yeah. I'm not going to tell you where, but if you can find it, you can find the links.
If you can find it, and you need it bad enough,
should you need us,
A-Team will give it to you. So this article talks about how this DMN structure has been found in rats and newborns. So it's not something that we layer on ourselves. There's a version of DMN in rats and newborns.
But I love that we're separating newborns from humans.
Well, it's not something that, I mean, a newborn, you would think, doesn't have a set of learned skills that are ingrained in it so much that it goes into autopilot, right? It's not about...
Oh, I think it can drool. I think it can drool without even thinking about crying.
That's a good point. Very good point.
I think it can put its fingers in its mouth while it's also thinking about how it's going to poop.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, like a newborn, it's interesting. What the reason that they think this is that they've discovered brain activity in these creatures. Newborns and rats, when there shouldn't be any brain activity. So the brain is doing something, is operating.
Yeah.
When like independently of what is needed.
It's interesting because I am now thinking about what that you imagine a newborn just like constantly taking in information and not knowing how to organize it or not even having like control over itself to the point where it could be doing you know what I mean? You're thinking, how can there be a default mode when it's just all over the place to begin with?
Yeah, they suspect that it involves.
Turns out all babies are like the Boss Baby. That's what this proves.
True. They're secretly
it's
all
just like
boss
the
babies.
hit movie, the perfect film, The Boss Baby.
Which is a problem because all bosses and no workers does not get anything done.
No, that's what they call a flat corporate structure, and it works in a place where all babies trust each other and trust in other babies' abilities. But a lot of places think they're going to move to a flat corporate structure,
right?
And it all falls apart because that trust isn't there.
And you should see the incredible...
And the ambition isn't there.
The incredible rates of baby unemployment as a result.
It's
almost
unfortunate.
100%.
I've seen a lot of just creative baby ventures just get torn apart.
Well, they squander their investment capital, babies. You know, they do on just the most ridiculous things.
Mostly on eating it.
Mostly on putting it in their mouths.
They put all of it in their mouths.
Not good.
And then another baby's like, what happened to the money? And the first baby's like, I fucking ate it, man. Were we not supposed to eat it?
That's why you can't have two boss babies.
No.
Because they'll have that kind of argument all the time. Yeah.
I've never seen The Boss Baby.
Clearly not. Neither have I. So here's the thrust of this article and trying to pin down what this DMN is all about. A team of researchers asked 28 volunteers to learn a card game while they were in an MRI brain scanner. Okay, very simple card game. You're given 4 cards, and then you're given a 5th card, and you're asked to match.
And when you're given the 5th card, you win. It was super simple.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, here's your 5th card. I win. This is a great game.
That's why babies can do it.
Yeah.
And boss babies can do it. When they were given the 5th card, they were asked to match it to one of the 4 cards, but they were not told the rules. They had to figure out the rules. Okay. So the cards had a color and a number. It's like Uno. Think of Uno, right?
Yeah.
You have to match the card, and they were just told, okay, you won when they matched it correctly, but they didn't know if you were supposed to match it via color, via number, what. Okay, so they played, and while they were in the brain scanner, you could see them figuring it out. And once they did, because it doesn't take too many iterations of you figuring it out, they got it. They could figure out how to make it win every time. They asked them to keep playing the game a lot more. And so at a certain point, they could just do it without even thinking about it, because how hard is it to match the red one with the red one?
And then immediately you're trapped in a room, you're in an fMRI, you're like playing this game over and over, your brain wanders. You go, you start thinking about what you're doing later that day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you're still correctly playing the game.
Or all the mistakes you've made in your past.
Right.
Which is immediately where I go. When my default network mode activates, or default mode network activates, I can almost always guarantee I'm consciously thinking about something I did wrong in my past.
That's what they actually are talking about.
Like I'm driving along a route that I know, and I'm in traffic, and I'm immediately thinking of a dumb thing I said in 3rd grade.
Or
I'm an 8-year-old boy. I'm just thinking about like, boy, I said a stupid thing when I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
And I remember it.
I remember when I was a boss baby.
And that's what I'm going to think about right now.
I'm always thinking about the opposite. I'm always thinking about the shit that I got to worry about tomorrow. And when I get home, I got to make sure that I do that. Don't forget to take your pants off before you get in the shower. You know, like all of the to-dos.
Now, some would argue that the taking the pants off before you get in the shower should be a default thing for you now.
I guess mine's broken.
Okay, well, that's fair. So what happens? So
while they were learning the game, the brain activity resembled patterns that are typical of learning minds.
Sure.
But as the game continued, the brain activity resembled those that they've witnessed in DMN. So their responses became faster and more accurate.
Okay. So how did they, I guess we knew this was going to happen, right? Like in adult humans, we knew that this was the sort of thing that was going to take over. So what did they learn from these observations that we didn't know before? Or what did they confirm?
Well, it says that people whose DMN structures are more strongly connected performed better in the game.
You got to go Zen.
You got to go Zen.
You got to get in the flow.
In fact, you do better if you detach yourself from trying.
Yeah,
and you
I've
just
often said so.
allow your DMN to kick in.
Listen to me very carefully. Always detach yourself from trying or feeling.
Right.
That's what I've learned.
Try not. Do or do not. There is no try.
Yeah.
Right. You know who said that? James T. Kirk.
Oh, from a Battlestar Galactica.
That's right.
That is my favorite Star Wars.
Exactly. So they actually come to the conclusion in this article that you can train yourself to do better in autopilot mode, to actually engage autopilot mode sooner.
Can I posit something?
Please.
And this is not a thing
Need
that
to
I'm
pause it to pause it. What I did with the pausing.
You barely did anything, and you emphasized it so much. That's not me trying to like come down on you or anything. That's just an observation that I think is factual.
Okay.
So
I'm still proud of it.
And this is not something where I'm trying to be like, oh, here's a cool thing that I think about me, or I'm very good at blank. I would love to know the performance levels of people with ADHD in their default network versus people without.
That would be fascinating, wouldn't it?
I feel like I am often default mode. Like whatever I'm doing, my brain is just gone.
Do you think that is a function of ADHD? Like that your brain just kicks into DMN faster?
Absolutely. That's what I want to know. I want to know if I'm going into default mode faster, like if my brain's just sort of like going off and doing its thing, or if my brain is consistently not going into default mode and trying to push something else to the forefront, and so I'm never going into default mode enough.
Huh.
You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
I'm trying to figure out whether I would go into default mode more or less often.
Right.
It feels to me like I would go into it more often because I do catch myself a lot of the time doing a sort of like a drifting off, like a zoning out. But I don't know if that's the same as being in the zone, default mode.
Is it distraction or is it this DMN? Yeah. That's a great question. I think that'll be a fascinating field of study for these guys. Hopefully they listen to our show.
I think most of them do.
Okay, good.
Bunch of fucking egons.
In my own life, call back. My own life, I realized that I do this, and I didn't really put it in these terms before, because specifically when I'm like doing a play as an actor, I will very consciously learn my lines to the point of rote, so that I can just say them without even thinking about it. They just come next.
Right.
And I put a lot of work into that to get to the point of, and very early on in the rehearsal process, to get to the point of, I don't need to think about my line. It's just there.
Yeah.
You know, like I could say, 6 Shakespeare monologues right now without thinking about what the next word is, because they're just in that, I think, DMN. And that way I can think about, okay, what's my hand doing and where do I need to walk? And what's that person doing? And the words are still coming out on their own almost.
Yeah. And they say that's a way you're supposed to learn to play a song. If you want to learn to play a song, it's like, just learn the lyrics first.
Right.
Because you have to just get it to the point where like it even sounds like gibberish to you.
Right.
Like you're not even thinking about it, so you can focus on the other parts that you need to learn that are hard.
You don't have to think about Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, How I Wonder Where You Are. You don't have to think about what the word is next. It's just there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. I also find certainly this happens like when I'm doing something, like I'm at the gym.
Singing.
When I'm at the gym and I'm singing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, I'm not even thinking about it. A lot of the people at the gym are.
They all seem to be thinking about it.
Thinking about it, and I don't care. No, I notice that I tend to put a lot of my day in order or solve a lot of problems that have been like bouncing around in my head.
Yeah.
When I'm like, body must be fully focused on this.
Oh, totally.
And I'm just like, I'm focused on like all like form and lifting and just like doing the exercise correctly.
Right.
And then my brain's like, boop, boop, beep, boop, 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 boop. Here are the things that you need to do.
For sure.
By the way, why did you say that when you were 8? Everyone still remembers. No one remembers. Everyone does.
I I do that when I'm running a lot. I'm not thinking about running at all. I'm just going.
Oh God, when I'm running, I'm just thinking about running and how fucking terrible running is. I can't do it when I'm running. I'm just like, fuck every step of this.
Well, I fuck myself up at the gym when I do that, because as soon as my mind starts wandering at the gym, first of all, I lose track of what number of reps I'm on. But second of all, I have this weird thing, and this may be based on complete nothing.
Yeah.
But I have this weird superstition, maybe, that if I think about it, if I think, okay, I'm moving my arm up, I'm moving my arm down, that somehow like that gets better results because I'm putting my intention there.
There are studies that prove that, like, if you're thinking about form, and not just that, if you're thinking about the specific muscle,
right,
it actually helps. They see more results in people who do that. But guess what? I don't give a shit. I'm just there to not get fat and die.
Right.
You know, like that's all I'm there for. But yeah, intention, anything done with intention is, well, but that's what we're saying. Maybe anything done with intention isn't better. Maybe being in the default mode for a lot of things is better.
Yeah, maybe that's what this study is really all about, is that getting into that place, into that Zen place where you're not thinking about it, your body's just doing it, you're actually more efficient and better at it.
There is a thing where they say when you're writing, 100 better ideas will come to you than the idea for what you're currently writing.
Right.
Whether it's you're writing an email to somebody, you'll think of 30 other things that you're supposed to be doing, or whether you're writing a screenplay, 10 other ideas for better screenplays will come. And it's partially you kind of distracting yourself from the work. But I also wonder if it's that like default mode where it's like, I'm working on this idea, I'm typing it, I kind of know where I'm going. And so your brain's like, this would also be cool. And you're like, oh shit.
Or that thing where you're like, what's the name of the actress that played the mom on Family Ties? I can't think of it.
Meredith Baxter Birney.
I know you can think of it, and I was gonna come up with it later. But the thing is, you take your mind off of it.
That's not true. I don't
and
think
you
it was
go
her.
around. It is Meredith Baxter Birney.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. But but what you can do if you can't think of it is do something else with your brain, and then your brain goes,
yeah.
And you're like, oh fuck! Remember that thing we were talking about 2 minutes ago? My brain did it because I stopped trying.
Yeah.
And Meredith Baxter Birney loves it when you don't try.
That's her favorite thing. And she's like, hey, I love you anyway.
Yeah.
You just be the best you can be. You
just got to be the best Alex P. Keaton.
Do you remember how, and kids ask your parents, but do you remember how in the 80s, Alex P. Keaton was like real cool, and he was just like this fucking jerk off young Republican, like financial planner, like 17-year-old who wore suits.
Yeah.
He was just like a money obsessed dick.
Yeah.
And in the 80s we were like, cool, I want to be him.
I never wanted to be him, but I understand. I mean, I didn't want to be him until he was in Back to the Future, and then I wanted to be him.
Teen Wolf.
Is that first? I thought that was after.
Was Teen Wolf after?
I think it was after.
That could be.
I think Back to the Future was the breakout.
How do you go from Back to the Future to Teen Wolf?
A check arrives at your door.
That's true. But yeah, I think that's all very interesting, and I think it's. But actually, going back to what you were talking about with the gym, what I've noticed is like when you're doing things in this sort of like Zen sort of mode, it's when you try to click back into being focused that you make mistakes.
Right.
So like if I do an entire set of an exercise, by the way, yes, this entire episode is about how like Jeff and I are we're so ripped and we work out a lot and we're like in really good shape. Like we're great.
See it?
Like we're tough and we're cool. Like that's what this is about.
So cool.
We're always thinking about the gym because the gym is so cool and we're so cool for going all the time.
Our point of reference is the gym because that's where
I'm
we
always wailing
are.
On my pecs. I'm like putting up big numbers.
Imagine like a really ripped Alex P. Keaton. That's what both of us
just
are.
Just like a ripped money obsessed dick in a
that's us
in a taupe suit.
Yeah.
Who's occasionally a lycanthrope. So. No, but what I've noticed is when you're doing something in the default mode, whether it's like, it doesn't have to be counting reps. I noticed this a lot when I was working retail, counting the till.
Right.
Your brain goes off, you're thinking about something else. And it's only when you try to click back into paying attention that you fuck up the count.
Yeah. Yes.
If you did it completely subconsciously,
totally true.
And you let yourself do it, you'd be like, oh yeah, till's great, it's $200, I'm good.
It's that same thing where like if you're doing something awesome, basketball players talk about
Like for me, it's like just hitting 3-pointer after 3-pointer,
Exactly.
which I do all the time.
Exactly.
So I finished my reps, like hundreds of reps of like a lot of weight.
And then you swing by
and then I
the
skateboard
hoops.
over to the hoops.
Yes.
And I'm just like kick
just
flips and just
dropping
fucking
buckets, baby.
Oh, it's
but then
amazing.
the second you think
and I don't
about
get
it,
off the skateboard. I should mention that.
No, why would you?
Why would I? It's just that would just waste time.
Right.
But anyway, if I'm doing all that,
And then you think about it and you go, oh man, I'm dropping so many buckets up in here. Then that's when you get fucked up.
I never think about it though, because that's just so normal for me.
Right. You're in your DMN right there.
I tripped on the way out here. I tripped not just once, but twice. From my front door to my back door where we record.
Well,
I literally tripped twice today.
In your defense, it is a clear, clean, easy to walk road.
It's just one paved path that leads exactly where I need to go. Yeah.
And devoid of any obstacles.
But you know what? I think I'm going to get somebody out here to sand it down because obviously there's one uneven part or two. Sorry,
downward
two.
slope. Just coast right into the doorway.
A day I don't hit something or trip on something is a very good day. I think this is fascinating, and there is something. There's been a lot of. I think the reason we keep going to the gym is because number one, we're just so ripped. But the reason why we keep going to the gym as an example,
right,
is because there's so much study on this in sports psychology, where it's like,
right,
don't
get in the zone,
don't get in your head.
Right.
Just learn to make this a natural, reflexive thing. You'll psych yourself out.
Knowing this, will you try
less? Absolutely.
Well, you can't try any less.
Any article we see that tells me that I can try less, I immediately take it as gospel. I'm actually slouching a little bit more than I was in the beginning of this episode.
I think what I'm going to do from now on, if I want to do anything, is just visualize Meredith Baxter Burney. And that'll just kind of take me into a Zen place and just let it happen.
All right.
Just Baxter Burney it up.
She's sort of your focal point?
Yeah, just Baxter Burney. Man, I had such a crush on Baxter Burney.
Did you really?
Oh, yeah. Did you not?
No.
Oh, she was such a hot mom.
I had a crush on Justine Bateman, Mallory. But I also had a crush on Penny from Inspector Gadget at that point in time because I was like 4 years old.
And like the female Thundercat and like the pink Transformer.
I was never into Chitara.
Really? She was hot.
Well, there you go.
She was like a tigress Baxter Burney.
Tigress Baxter Burney. Oh,
I think we found our hashtag at least.
That's the one. What things do you find yourself doing in default mode the most during your day? That's what we'd like to know. For me, it's definitely driving. It's a very LA thing.
Driving, of course. Yeah, driving and running. I'd love to know also if you guys are going to try to facilitate that more in your life.
Yeah.
Like, if it actually helps, maybe it's a good thing to cultivate.
Learn to let yourself zone out a little bit. Interesting.
Burney it.
Baxter Burney it is what she has nothing to do with this. Anyway, let us know. We're on Twitter. I'm at acarboni.
I'm at Jeff Canada.
And if you've seen a story recently that you would like to hear us talk about on the show, you can submit them to any of the places Jeff mentioned in the beginning of this episode. They are linked in the description. You can also head to our store and give us your fucking money.
Yeah, if you've done that enough times, it will seem so easy. You won't even know you're doing it.
Default Mode Network. What we want you to do is get in the habit. You're listening to an episode, you go to the store, you buy a shirt. They're very good. JP Couvert designed most of them, and they are brilliant and wonderful. That's wehaveconcerns.com/shop or store. Either one works. You can be as default as you want.
Just default it up.
I'm trying to make it easy. Give me your money.